What's going on, guys? It's Daniel from CoinSpots here. Happy Monday. We're back taking a look at Bitcoin. What happened over the weekend? We had the weekly close on Sunday, so we're going to be discussing that, kind of where I think Bitcoin is headed this week. Going to take a quick look at ICX and then talk about three pieces of news, specifically Tether, TrueUSD, and then some memes on the Ethereum network. So let's get right into it. Switching over to this arrow, a little bit easier to point things out. So the two levels on the weekly that I'm taking a look at is this red level here and this light blue level here. This second light blue level is a daily level. I forgot to take off the visibility from the weekly time frame, but basically this weekly level in blue has been acting as a SR level for quite some time now. We were taking a look at this last week. It closed pretty much perfectly right at the top, but as you can see right now, we're breaking through that level. So as a whole, based on this big picture on the weekly, I'm not really in any trades right now. And as we get a little bit more granular going into the daily and into the 4 hour, as I'm going to show you, there's really no good setups right now to take. So the weekly, I would say, is looking bearish overall. It's kind of reminding me of what happened here at 11K. It's happening obviously a little bit slower because here we just had this huge pump up and then right back down. Where here it's kind of a more gradual pump or rise to almost 10K, and now we're kind of falling off a cliff here. So based on the weekly, looking bearish and no trades for me. So going into the daily, we get a little bit better of a picture. As you can see, this light blue box here, which I was talking about on the weekly to not pay attention to, is the big support that a lot of people are looking at, right? I was saying how I thought we were going to go to the 7,800 level. I took a short based off of an SFP back over here, and we pretty much bounced at a kind of random level. I personally didn't think it was going to hold because this 7920-ish level wasn't a defined or clear SR level. It kind of just bounced in the middle of nowhere, and typically when stuff bounces like that, we're gonna come back down because that isn't a strong SR level that's clearly defined. So eyes are going to be on this 77 to 7,800 level here. And then even you should keep your eyes on this 75 to 7,400 level, this resistance right here, because we definitely could have an SFP potential, but we're going to see what's going on in the coming days this week. Coming in here into the 4 hour, I drew a quick little fib from the top to the bottom here. And as you can see, this 0.618 level is providing some resistance, as you can see here. But really, you could say it right here as well. It has, or it had some resistance. Even here, yeah. Even right here and right here. So this level, not really looking for any trades right now. Don't see any good setups. We're going to see what's going on with the weekly. We've broken through it already, retested it as resistance, and now we're going to be going back down. So overall, on all the time frames, Bitcoin is looking bearish. I did, however, if I take off my fib because it's blocking some lines, lay out two levels here. So this is the most recent low, and I've marked this as a long SFP, so that's one thing to keep your eye on if price breaks through this, but it's bought back up and closes above this line, meaning we did not actually take out this low, then that would be a long or a signal to go long. And this short SFP, if we were to break through this high and then close below it, that would be the signal to short. However, I don't think that this is in play anymore, so I'm going to be taking a look at this long SFP, see what's going on with that. But overall, as I said, Bitcoin is looking bearish short term, at least this week. We're going to see what happens. If we just take a zoom out again to the daily, man, I feel that even though this, long-term or the main downtrend line has been broken, I just feel like the same pattern has been coming on with Bitcoin, where we've just been hitting these highs and then just bouncing off of them, right? We've had two peaks here, similar two peaks here. You could even make the case for two peaks here, even though there is a lot or a bigger difference between them. About how much is that? Yeah, like 15%. Where basically these two highs and these two highs were almost equivalent, and you could call this a double top, where this wouldn't really exactly be the clearest or cleanest textbook double top. But as I said, yeah, I feel like it's just double top after double top here. So who knows? Who knows what the future has got in store for us for Bitcoin? So moving on to ICX, potential trade opportunity for ICX. Even though we have broken this short-term trend line, we are approaching the Kijun as resistance, or support, which has played out for EOS. If we just take a quick look for EOS right here, Kijun is definitely providing good support. You got bids on the Kijun, that's not a bad thing. So Icon, great project, and also confluence with this SR level right here, very violent SR level. As you can see, or back here at least, price closed just above it. We've got this bearish pinhead candle, and then huge move downward, followed by a continuous move down. Then over here we've got resistance again, turn to support, and now we're testing it again, and it has confluence with the Kijun. So definitely a decent time to pick up a little bit of ICX. By no means is this an all-in sign, but technicals are looking good for a bounce at this level. Right, so moving on to Tether. So Tether has just printed $250 million worth of new USDT tokens. And as you can see, this is basically reviving the controversy behind Tether, right? We talked about this last week. Do they have the actual dollars to back up their claims or the amount of Tether units that they have? Some people say no, some people say yes. So this is just a big headliner here. Obviously, people are speculating that this is going to correlate with a subsequent rise in the Bitcoin and Ethereum price. Obviously, we will see if that happens. The technicals don't show that Bitcoin is going to be rising anytime soon, at least this week, I should say. But this actually ties into the next article, which is the bigger piece of news, which is TrueUSD. And basically, TrueUSD is another stablecoin that honestly is a lot better than Tether. So basically, this article is just that when TrueUSD launched up on Binance, it basically traded from $1 to $1.30 was the max, right? So for a stablecoin trading at $1.30 when it's supposed to be pegged to the dollar, obviously it shows some of the downsides and hurdles that stablecoins have, right? If a stablecoin supposed to be worth $1 is able to fluctuate all the way up to $1.30 based on, liquidity, supply and demand, that's definitely a problem. However, even though that is a negative, a lot of people are hyped about TrueUSD, and I think it's really interesting because it's looking like TrueUSD could replace Tether, right? A lot of people have been talking about how Tether is going to fall out. Basically, something's going to come out, and it's going to be found that Tether doesn't have the funds that they say they do, right? So not every Tether is backed by a dollar in their reserves. And if that happened, that would be pretty catastrophic, right? It would be something like Mt. Gox. However, with TrueUSD gaining traction, I think that Tether, it's more likely for it just to be phased out and replaced by something new. And in this case, I think it's going to be TrueUSD. So if that happens, no one's really going to care if, Tether has or doesn't have the funds that they do. Obviously, if you're trading on Bitfinex, that's going to be a problem. But the rest of the exchanges like Bittrex, Binance, and all of the other ones that are starting to integrate TrueUSD, it's not going to be that big of an issue, right? Because they're switching over to this stablecoin over Tether. And what's interesting about TrueUSD is that it's an ERC20 token, and it's totally based off of a smart contract. So the development team and the guys behind TrueUSD have no access to your funds, right? The funds that you wire are sent to basically a third party or an escrow account in a bank, and then that bank sends the signal to the smart contract, and the smart contract then confirms that you've wired the money into the bank account, and then the tokens, the TrueUSD tokens, are deposited into your exchange account, whether that be Bittrex or Binance, what have you. And then when you want to withdraw the tokens are actually burned, and basically the inverse happens, right? You send the signal to the smart contract confirms that you've sent the tokens over and they've burned them. The smart contract then sends the signal to the third-party escrow account to give the go-ahead to wire your funds to your bank account. So basically, this use of the smart contract totally takes out the TrueUSD team and anyone funding TrueUSD, invested in TrueUSD, out of the picture, right? Where obviously Tether it's set to have collusion with Bitfinex, and obviously more profits, more trading volume, stuff like that, more fees. Basically paints a murky picture for Tether, where TrueUSD is a lot clearer in terms of what they're doing. So I think that based on TrueUSD having a ton of hype, trading all the way up to $1.30 is some good news. Good news and bad news, obviously, but in terms of transparency behind the stablecoin, I think TrueUSD is definitely going to replace Tether in the coming months, which should be something really interesting to watch. Right, so moving on to the last piece about Ethereum and memes, right? So basically, top headline, right? Shrimps, frogs, and drugs are clogging the Ethereum blockchain. So basically, what is this? These are just new games that have been made on the Ethereum platform, kind of like CryptoKitties, basically just trend games. They're going to phase out soon. However, I think this is really, really important to kind of show the state of the Ethereum network and how much it can really handle, right? Obviously, you can look at this, all happy and jolly, right? We've got people using the Ethereum tokens, the Ethereum network for these games, Ether Cartel, Fish Farm, stuff like that. However, it really paints the picture to just how I'm trying to think of the right word. It's not weak. The Ethereum blockchain right now can't handle the transaction volume from these games, right? So that's really, really important to know if we want blockchain, specifically Ethereum, to be used in the real world, basically, by companies, right? If the Ethereum network can't handle CryptoKitties and Ether Cartel and all of these new games that are kind of just a phase, how can we expect larger companies such as FedEx here, who obviously had a talk at Consensus about Ethereum and using the Ethereum network? How can these larger companies use the Ethereum blockchain if right now, if a decent amount of people are using it and fees are going crazy, right? So I think this, just like CryptoKitties, puts crypto into perspective on how early we are in all of this, right? A lot of people are obviously, and rightly so, just focused on profits, right? That's why the majority of people are in the crypto space, including me. Obviously, I do enjoy the tech, but profits do take a big part of why I'm in cryptocurrency. And as I said, the majority of people would say the same thing. And stuff like this just shows, as I said, how early we are in the stages of crypto and how much more we have to develop. A lot of ICOs and such are promising so many big things, but when a foundational platform like Ethereum has trouble handling this amount of traffic, it really puts everything into perspective. And I think that's super important, and articles like these are really good to kind of give everyone a big picture and a much clearer picture of where we are in the grand scheme of things or in the cryptocurrency space. Even though all of this started back in 2008, 2009, and probably took off in maybe 2013, 2014 a little bit, we're still in the really early stages of all of this. So don't panic, if some of the tokens you're holding aren't doing really well, because I think that we have a lot more room to grow, and rightly so, based on stuff like this. So yeah, that's pretty much it for today. I'm going to keep watching Bitcoin and some alts as usual. Going to see if there are any possible trade opportunities. We'll be posting those up on Twitter. So yep. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Like, subscribe, and I will see you guys tomorrow.